Okay. Looking good there. Wait. There we go. Well, right. Alright, there we go. Now we're back to the usual setup. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am the Ephemeral One, and welcome to, well, going through the trailer for the DLC for Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. I saw it the other day, came out, and I got distracted and had other things going on, so I kind of just let it slide past me. But I didn't have anything and now that Unicorn Overlord is pretty much done, I have like an hour left I could stream, but honestly, I'm satisfied with where we are, and we'll just pick it up when the game comes out. So, ladies and gentlemen, Elden Ring's DLC I felt like talking about this morning, so let's watch the trailer first, and then we'll get through everything else I want to talk about it. So, yeah. Let's see. Okay. Let's go.
Pure and radiant, he wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men. There is nothing more terrifying. In that forsaken place, blood must spill. Blood of your fellows. The Erdtree faithful.
They were never saints. They just happened to be on the losing side of a war.
Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction in one so bereft of light? I presume you, too, are keen to know just what kind Mikkeller is doing here.
Those stripped of the grace of gold shall all meet death in the embrace of restless flame.
Come now, touch the withered arm, and travel to the realm of shadow. I will not be far behind. May we meet again.
There is so much to unpack in this goddamn trailer. I love these people for this. I love FromSoft for this. And yeah, people are predicting and things where everyone's analyzing it. I'm late to the show. Oh well. I work full time. This isn't my job. This is just something I love to do. So, now let's start picking this apart and start at the beginning. So the first thing we see is nothing. Or rather, it's setting a tone of telling us where we are. Everyone recognizes this as Mohg's Shrine. Mohg being one of my favorite goddamn fights. That fight is so much fun. So, the implication would likely be
Pure and radiant,
pure and radiant.
he wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men.
So let's get this out of the way first. If you go back to my channel, my predictions for the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, I said it was probably Melania, and we were going back in time to deal with the war between, rather, it wasn't Miquella, it was going back to deal with the war that led to the situation of the Erdtree. So, I was wrong. Period. Send tweet. I was wrong. This is focused on Miquella and Melania. That much is true. So now, with that confirmation, because that description only fits Miquella. Miquella is the only person known to use love or affection for all creatures. It's the reason the Tree of Miquella has a plethora of soldiers and creatures and monsters taken from across the other regions. It's the reason that everyone is equal unto him. So, just to be clear, yes, I was wrong. This is about Miquella and Melania, but more specifically, it's where Miquella went. Because Miquella's body is in this egg. We know this. It's confirmed that that is Miquella that has been stolen from his tree, and Mohg brought him here to act as his consort. So, it's very clear that wherever Miquella's soul went is where we're going. So, unfortunately, some of our wilder predictions may be wrong. We may have to just go to Mohg's Shrine to enter this place.
There is nothing more terrifying. There is nothing more terrifying.
Than someone who manipulates and uses people. So very likely what we're about to enter is Miquella's gambit for lordship. So whatever Miquella was trying to do, whether it is we will probably get to find out if he was genuine in his attempts to help Melania. Because we have very little on what Miquella has done in the game. Like, we have the Saint Sword that causes sleep, inferring that Miquella was seen as kind of beautiful in either gender, let's put it that way. And basically had a gambit and a plan. It's the reason he made basically his own Erdtree, the Howling Tree. So, at that point, he had a plan he was pursuing, and he had Melania backing him up. Whether his plans simply were for lordship himself, and he was going to just drop Melania at any given point, or if he was genuinely trying, with all his power, to defy the goddess of Rot and remove her from his sister, we'll find out in this DLC, I imagine. Now, this shot here is interesting because it's very much clear that's Torrent, and that we're on a path that leads up to a place we haven't been yet. So it's very clear if you just take a frame or two. See, I hate that I can't go frame by frame. There we go. We've not been here. This place is way too well put together. This is not where we were. So this is clearly nowhere we've been before. So that's... The castles, the bridges are still constructed. This place is still being lived in some way. And I am seeing... Okay, this is... And recognizing what we have. By the way, I love the fact they do it these awkward angle shot. That's one of the tower... That's one of those bell towers that you could get teleported to random other locations. This is just a general castle, fortress. Very reminiscent of Stormvale. This actually pulls me back to Dark Souls 3 and the cathedral. This is just the main castle with a long bridge to a keep. The muddy road showing that it is in use, at least regularly, so would probably imply that there are going to continue to be more of the caravans, which I look forward to seeing, because caravans usually mean interesting items, so I look forward to that. Alright. The player character on Torrent, not too much to say, looks pretty basic. Looks like they're wearing the Raging Wolf set with just a generic longsword, so nothing special there. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's just looking like the Raging Wolf set. Yeah, that's the Raging Wolf set. Okay. Okay, this panoramic shot. Now, what's interesting... Let's take a moment and pick this apart a little. Okay, so we see more of the... Like, this looks like... Okay, the shadow equivalent to the Atlas Plateau. What's interesting is it's far more broken apart. The land is far more broken here. Now, what's interesting about that is here. Take a look closer towards the top of the tree, towards the middle of the tree, where the tower is there. Note that it looks almost like something's being moved up or down, and that whatever this blanket that's extending from the clouds is sort of just covering this area. And I'm just taking a look. So those tree roots... Now here's the interesting bit. Another YouTuber by the name of Rusty once predicted that we would not be using the arm and the egg in Mohg's palace to be able to get access to DLC. One of the things I would agree with him, and I think that the reason I would agree with that thought, because we're still not guaranteed that's where we're going. That's just maybe just a point of reference to understand where we're going. Well, what the places we're going. The bigger thing here that gets me, note the way the branches are. The branches are reaching up, leading down to this second Erdtree, but there are roots up above that are more of a gold color. If you go into any of the Divine Towers, anywhere in the game, look at the way the energy flows. Golden energy ascends, dark energy goes down. So, this may be a case of the way you get to this area is through the Divine Towers. It's not through Mohg's Palace, but we have to drop down beneath the Divine Towers and bring us underneath to this world, which is literally in the shadow of the world above. And the reason this DLC took so long is because this is basically a third world map. You know how people freaked out when did it? When Tears of the Kingdom did a third world map where it was up in the air, on the ground, and under the ground? Welcome to our underground. I would not be surprised if that's the case. Again, we're just seeing more locations. Nothing too particular. To the left side here, this little independent plateau, I kind of like that there's a, how I want to put it, there looks like a almost Greek cathedral down there. It's built a little differently, so it honestly reminds me more of the ancestor worshippers. I wonder if they're going to play a major role, because that'd be kind of interesting to see if maybe this is the origin of the ancestor worshippers. Okay. New knight design. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't recognize that helmet. The moon with a spear through it is kind of interesting. More of a gladiatorial design, face mask, full face mask, with like ram horns on the side. Broad chest plate, yeah, very Greco-Roman gladiatorial style. The great blade being extremely detailed. That is really cool. And the over-the-shoulder cape like that, that is, I like it.
In that forsaken place.
We're seeing more of a... Oh, wow. We're seeing more of an early, Hovel the Rock, almost. Yeah. Yeah, like... It's obviously more stone than, honestly, steel or metal. That's... Either that or that is extremely unprocessed ore, and it was just simply chiseled into the position. I imagine that's going to be incredibly sturdy and heavy. Like, that's on par, at least as thick as the Crucible Knights. Huh. But still has the skirt attachment with, like, the stone protrusion, stones sewn into it. Interesting. And he's either checking or holding a jar. So either the jar is a weapon or he's examining him, but then looking up as something's drawing his attention. Though, what should draw also your attention is those curved pillars in the background. What's interesting about them is we're going to see a motif of a corkscrew, as if someone's drilling into the ground. And I'm curious if that's part of it, is they're Miquella was digging something up, or pursuing something in this land. Whether we actually find Miquella will be up there.
Blood must spill.
Okay. More desolate area, still plenty of flowers. And, I mean, I'd swing at the corpse. I'm sorry, my natural instinct is hit R1, this ain't actually dead. What's interesting about it is the very long and exaggerated hair design. The feet are the lower body is obstructed by the flowers, and we're not getting a good sense. I'm wondering if that's got a different sort of almost like, I want to almost call it like a satyr-like leg. Because if you look down here to the left, on the other side of this little stone pillar, it sort of falls off into a stump. I don't see an actual foot. Like, I could see it being more like a goat leg. And I'm wondering if that's a type of enemy that kind of... Well, the earliest form of the goat enemies that would ambush you in, like, in Dark Souls 3.
Spill.
And we enter an open hall with a... destroyed, looks like a temple. I'm going to give more of a temple vibes due to the chandeliers. What's interesting is they're burning... No, they're not. Those are purple crystals. So, sleep-based
Blood
crystals.
of your fellows.
Blood of your fells. Let me hear that line again, because I've been trying to struggle to figure out what it's saying.
Blood of your fellows. Blood of your fellows.
I don't know if your fells is a... If it's blood of your fells, which is a single word that is someone or something, like a clan or something, or blood of yours fell. So, like, your blood shedding. As far as this actual principal character, they seem to be some sort of priest with a robe, very cleric-like hat. Though there seems to be like an impression at the very top above, like where one would place a jewel or some kind of symbol. We aren't given a full-on shot, so I don't know if that's just a symbol of their religion or not. But the intricate stonework, the intricate work on the chair, does indicate that they're at least very high up.
The Erdtree faithful.
All right. Now this is interesting. Because let's assume blonde hair, covered eyes, seems very young. I'm gonna say that's probably Mikola attending to a rotten or to a old man. I get almost like from the look on him, like he has some kind of rot within him, and maybe Mikola was studying and learning testing to see if it was a rot that could be related to Melania to try and cure that. That's a wild theory. That's just a guess. It's just a random painting though, but it is at least helping to confirm that if this is in fact following Mikola, we are looking at Mikola there in one guise or another, because Mikola learned from their mother Marika how to hide themselves pretty well. Alright. So, my initial thought with seeing this was actually the idea of this is the origin of the pot people. Like, we're going to learn where they originally came from, and why they were created. I've said before that the interesting thing about all the pots is they have almost draconic-like limbs, telling me that I believe that they were an early attempt by the Newman to clone dragons. That is my big belief, and I still hold that. And the pots surviving has been sort of they're supposed to be gathering materials for the Newman, who are long gone. Here's an interesting one, because this is a corkscrew in the lava. Again, the whole motif of there being a corkscrew of digging or drilling deep down. And note that this is this was originally suspended and then is like dropped down. And the player character is at least walking up it. So maybe we dropped it, or it was already dropped and we had to drop down to this area, and then this will lead us up to, say, another boss fight or another area. That's at least a theory, that this is one of those, it's a one-way trip until you can make your way back, and then you have to find the switch to maybe pull this back up so you're able to cross freely. Just a guess on design, but nothing serious. The interesting bit is that notice the corkscrew on the bottom as we go forward is spinning.
They were never saints.
I hate that I can't do little by little. But yeah, the corkscrew on the bottom is spinning, so either that, or this may be a funnel as an attempt to remove the magma, or it's used as a power source to push up, to spin the rotor and maybe power something up ahead. There's a bunch of possibilities, and we look forward to all of them. That's just how it is. What's interesting is this is someone wearing the prisoner garb. Remember, that might be significant later, because we do see at the very end that there is a prisoner character, and maybe that'll be a little more explanation for their importance.
They were never saints. They just
Alright, here is something interesting. This golem. We've seen so many of the giant golems across the entirety of the Elden Ring game. This is a very, very different design. Now, the interesting bit is, would you consider this a regression or a progression on those? Because the golems we're familiar with are very controlled, and there's only so much fire that is used to animate them. The fire of the giants, obviously. This one on the other hand, wears it pretty out and proud, but it's also seemingly much larger when we'll see in the successive shots. And the quote, go back and let it finish.
They were never saints. They just happened to be on the losing side of a war.
You never think you'd be on the losing side of a war. And here we can get a sense of just how big this giant is. So this one is also in an open field. So this may just be a field boss you either have to run away from or just ignore for a while, because either that or you're probably chip damaging him. I mean, there's a ton of options. Hell, they might even finally give us access to Ballistae. Could you imagine using Ballista to kill a boss? These. Oh, this is going to be nightmare fuel and a half. Giant worms. So, a alteration or a different version of the Rot Kindred. I mean, that's the first thought, is these things are just wild Rot Kindred, and they're just a variation of them. Which would make sense if this is a place where Miquella is looking to test and research ways. Very likely, I believe that the DLC was Miquella's spawning ground for trying to solve the issue of the god of Rot stuck in his sister. Again, the question of whether he was sincerely trying to fix it, or if he was just trying to make use of it, don't know. But that's what we'll find out in the DLC, I think. So, yeah, these things are horrible. They obviously have a very nasty grab attack that's going to hurt a lot. This is another one that I'm sure many people have pointed it out, but it's interesting to note there are two sets of teeth. There's the human grinding ones, and then there's the sharper fangs. But the fact that this thing requires to push its own mouth shut indicates that it does not have great mobility of its own form. At least not when it comes to its face. It has a human foot with 5 toes, but what's kind of weird and is odd is the middle and the big toe are about the same size. So, you know, that's actually kind of odd. It's not a normal human foot. Yeah, 2 sets of teeth, so this very much is it. But the head is kind of like a mask. Now, whether this... And there's very much a gladiator theme running through most of this design. So it's more of a Greek-inspired. Probably more than like Greco-Roman. Okay, clearly this is also a... one of the... what you call them? The omens. The horns dictate that pretty distinctly. This is an omen of some kind. Though their physiology... Oh, God. Their physiology is something horrific. Okay, because the head... This part seems like almost like a mask. Like the lion part is a mask they're wearing over their own face. And they struggle to manipulate their face because it's like a false head, maybe? Pauldrons up here. Honestly, from the look of this angle, it looks like it's almost like a six-legged centaur, I want to say. Like, this back part here is, you know, the back two legs. There's actually a middle set. Then the forward ones that have, like, more like human legs. And then, so, this may also be the source of Godric's ability to fuse hands to himself. This may be where he learned how to do that. And would be the source of the Revenants, who Revenants can go fuck themselves. Okay. Yeah, let's see that jump again. Alright. Okay, that's... So yeah, there's at least two legs in the back. Might be like a lion leg back there. Huh. Okay, other thing to note is the player character is in fact wearing the Blue Dancer set, which is famously the teacher of Melania, Blade of Mikola, and she's the one, and they're the one who taught her that fucking waterfowl dance. Fuck you, dude. You made everyone miserable. No one will forgive you for that fact. It's cool, it's awesome, and it's really cool, but very likely, I'll put it this way, usually when making these trailers, From Software can tend to consider lore, and the fact that they're wearing the Blue Dancer set may indicate that the Blue Dancer themselves, this is where they went and have left Melania and they were seduced by Mikola to come to this land to try and find a solution. If I had to guess. That's just me. But yeah, obviously multi-lower limbed. Alright. Then comes crashing down. Apparently, looks like it's a Death Blight breath. Yeah. Yeah. It hits physically, so we see them recoil from the hit. But then it also still apparently has, like, lightning magic. Which is interesting, because it means that it's got a fairly high faith requirement.
Mother.
Now, a red serpent. Wonder if it's a derivative of the serpent that ate our other favorite god, Rykard. Huh.
Wouldst thou truly lordship?
Now that's interesting. Okay, so this is obviously using the corrupt flame, the corrupted magic, but it's doing so in a fire motif, which is, as ever, an antithesis to everything that the Golden Order stood for. Which makes sense. These are the blasphemers that were probably pushed out. very likely this may be one of those cases where we're at the. These may be like this guy here may be the one of the Newmen, who were basically hiding from the gods of the Golden Order. So this may be where the Newmen fled to.
Sanction in one so bereft of light.
Now, this character's design is so impressive. It gives a very sense of regal, but still not quite there. Humanity. Note, there are wings, and he's wearing the snake as almost like a tail, but here's the interesting bit. It is either two snakes, or, more than likely, that's a snake with a head on each end. Next to the fire here, that's another head. And I'm willing to bet that's one snake with two heads, and that'll attack you from either end. So that'll probably be a cheap melee hit he can get in. And now as far as the quote he asks,
Wouldst thou truly lordship sanction? Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction in one so bereft of light?
now, mother, wouldst thou lordship sanction in one so bereft of light? Now, most people will say that applies directly to the Tarnished because we don't have the grace of gold. We are not one of the light ones. We are naturally one of the people who were banished, died, came back, and were one of the Horde. However, there's another interpretation of that people may miss, which is that character, would you lordship sanction for me if I'm so bereft of light? Again, he's using the heretical fire like a shadow magic into flame. So that may be where we're at, where he's going, could I become Lord? Because if I kill you, I get to become Lord, right? True? So it may be a case of, can I become Lord if I kill this person? Because I'll become Lord. I'll do it. And the question is, Mother. The fact that they're referring to Mother likely means this person is yet another demigod. The interesting thing is, we don't know of any known children. The only other one, and so whose parentage he is and how he's related to Marika will be interesting. Like, the serpent motif would lead us to believe, the serpent motif and the spear actually being molten the way it is, would actually lead me to believe that this is one of Rykard's bastards, which would be really interesting to see.
In one so bereft of light.
And here we just get some action sequences, slashing at some candle wielders who breathe fire, nothing simple. Throwing daggers at, looks like ephemeral, like peasants almost, with a meat cleaver. Nothing too amazing here. These are pretty basic enemies. Yeah. This spell looks awesome, and the butterfly motif leads me to either believe this is Scarlet Rot, or more than likely, I bet sleep damage. Like, this does sleep buildup. It's a Mikola spell. And yeah, folks, we got combos. Please let that be an Ash of War we can throw on weapons where we can just kick out. Just so we can start throwing that on random weapons and just go, I've got a great sword. No, I'm just going to kick your ass. I'm just gonna kick you. Yeah, so this looks like an AoE spell. Throw, giant pots, rapid fire crossbow. Now here's the interesting thing that caught my eye. This is something like the dragon spells, where you summon the part of a monster. Because the lower torso is clearly human, and they're channeling something much the same way you channel the dragon heads. So, to me, this is a spell. This is a spell, and this may be something really cool.
What kind Mikkeller is doing here?
What? Okay, so, and two.
Just what kind Mikkeller is doing here?
Just what kind Mikkeller was doing here. Again, I truly believe we are looking at the results of his studies into fending off the god of rot, whether or becoming lord. One or the other. That being said, as far as the combat goes, looking at that flowing sword style, again, very much reminiscent of the blue swordsman who taught Melania. So, this is not coincidental that they are very specifically, they dress the players specifically to evoke certain symbols and certain paths that they're looking to follow up on. Yep, here we have a boar riding knight with a purple lightning, which is interesting. If purple lightning does sleep build up, I'm going to laugh so hard because that's so dickish. And here we have a malformed sort of hippo. Maybe a failed attempt at creating some of like the crawling dragons. Either that or a crawling dragon who's just advanced to the point where it's just nothing but a crawling beast. Because it's still got the fuzz of the dragons. So I'm willing to bet this is an aged crawling dragon where it no longer has the lava ability and probably is just a big rampaging monster. The stone on the top being a horn. Yeah, I could see it. Now, with that head slam, I'm willing to bet that's a combination of force, and it's about to drop. It raises up, gets those huge horns, which could basically stomp you, and you're dressed as a knight. I was going to say, the biggest thing, I'm willing to bet those are spikes that come up and then drop down in the area. So it's another attack that you have to dodge. Wow. Callbacks are callbacks. This actually reminds me of the Orphan of Kos. The flesh boomerang. Now, what's noteworthy is this creature, the head is too low. The head is like in the middle of its chest. And it doesn't have an actual lower half. It is fused to this horse front. So this may be a case where, Mikkeller turned even to undeath, those who live in death, and experimenting on them to try and figure out a way to fight back against the Scarlet Rot. Again, how sincere he was in trying to cure Melania will be the key thing we're probably going to make crystal clear. And very likely, seeing these kind of monsters, I almost think he was completely sincere, and his biggest goal was always to save his sister. And that he would turn to any depths to do so. He didn't care about being Lord. None of that mattered. And what we're seeing are the end results of his experiments. Again, those who live in death. He's pulling these jagged yellow yellowed blades, which would probably indicate experimenting with even the Flame of Frenzy? Like mixing Undeath and Frenzy. Ooh, that is a nasty effect.
Of the race of gold.
And of course, face. And what were we wearing? Which. Okay, this is the Raging Wolf set. Though it's a new weapon. Looks like a spear and a dual blade and a, like, shield. But this is clearly like a. Not the final boss, but a major fight.
Of gold shadow meet death. In
And the quote.
gold shadow. Those stripped of the grace of gold shadow meet death.
Those stripped of the grace of gold shall all meet death. Yeah. I mean, the game literally starts with us dying, so yeah, that's true.
In the embrace of Lesna's flame.
In the embrace of Mesmet's flames.
Come now, touch the withered arm, and travel to the realm of shadow. I will not be far behind.
Okay. So, no. I hadn't heard that line. I missed that line.
The realm of shadow. And travel to the realm of... Come now, touch the withered arm.
Come now, touch the withered arm, and travel to the realm of shadows. Okay, yeah, no. So yeah, no, we're wrong. It's going to Moog's. Okay, so we just go to Moog's palace, touch the arm, and we get transported to this new location. Okay. That's pretty explicit. Mesmer having a grab attack, unsurprisingly. Basically burns you.
And travel to the realm of shadow.
Yep.
I will not be far.
But it looks like we get a new wing attack, which, yeah, either that or, I mean, we do have that. We never got that as I don't think we ever got Crucible Wings. We got a bunch of other Crucible spells, though, and abilities, so makes sense. We don't have we had the tail, trying to remember. There's a couple Crucible spells that are...
Behind. May we meet again.
Okay. So, may we meet, I'll be right behind you. May we meet again. So whoever is inviting us in is going to try and join us, but it may not be that simple.
I will not be far behind. May we meet again.
Okay. Now this is the interesting question. Lots of hair, braided. Is this... So, if we're to believe this is Miquella's soul, that's the clearest shot we get. Yeah, I could see it being Miquella's basically soul or essence. Alright. Raising up to the tree. Shadow of the Erdtree, and of course, June 21st. Bandai Namco, Steam, Elden Ring, yep, the usual. And again, remember that we saw a prisoner outfit earlier, and they're doing a circular motion, which we're not sure of. Oh, the Ring of Miquella. So, that's his pose. Okay. And we get the name Mesmer the Impaler. Yeah, the main the main focus character, which means probably not the final boss. Though, does have more bat wings than I expected. Again, I wonder if it's a two-headed serpent, and it's going to, like, phase 2 or 3, it devours. The other thing to note, the symbol on the art book, the flame and the ring of Mikola, so representing that both are working in tandem. Or at least they're both the major focuses. And actually, oh, that is Mesmer the Impaler. Another interpretation I didn't think of till just now. Mesmer's quote, asking Mother about those bereft of light, might be directed at them, but what if the mother they're referring to is not Marika, but Mikola? What if this is the child of Moog and Mikola? It would make sense that symbol on his cloak makes a lot more sense then. It's both parents. The blood flame and the oh, you poor child. It would explain why they're so skinny. Oh yeah, no, that would explain why they're so skinny, and yet have something like wings for their more omen-like parent. All right. Now the interesting bit remains still that. Well, we'll have to wait and see, folks, but I wanted to at least get some thoughts down on it before we get there. After all, we've got a couple of months. Still, I like the overall design, and it'll be interesting to see what new lore bits they give us. But yeah, and actually, looking at the statue, the wings are from the snakes, not him. Oh, interesting. So the snakes have the wings and not him. Yeah, but if this is probably Mikola and Moog's child. That would make sense then that we see Mikola here in sort of like this desolate land. Maybe the kind of story that Elden Ring is, the kind of story all the Souls games are. The best of intentions end in the worst of ways. In this case, I imagine we're about to see the tragedy of Mikola being played out by Moog's interference, dragging them down and breaking down what could have been a beautiful place.
Just what kind Mikola is doing here.
Mikola's kindness might be kind of cruel in the overall scheme of things, too. Alright. So, we'll probably get a lot more answers, and we'll get to see more. So, I want to thank you all, and I think we're pretty much good. I've got my eyesight, I've got my things set. And so from what I can tell, we're going underneath the lands between, further down. Because there's definitely depths down there. If you go, well, like, the places I'm thinking of, well, oh. Nope. Like, what am I thinking? What am I thinking of? Named city in Elden Ring. Yep, deep root depths.
What is happening, y'all?
There. Not the Eternal City. Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, the deep root depths. Basically, you want to go, and down there is also a place I brought up before that has white water that's kind of streaming like the blood of a god down there, as well as being basically, yeah, the nameless eternal city that was destroyed. There's also further down. There's roots all across the area. Like if I can show.
I'm gonna show you quick.
I wish I was playing because I could show it off easier. Deep root depths. Just getting. Yeah, no, everyone's only ever focused on the fighting, not the world itself. Oh well. But yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to get my thoughts out about it before we get in anyway. So, I want to thank you all for joining me. I have been the Ephemeral One, and this has been me getting my ideas out for what's going on. Anyway, folks, thank you all, and I'll see you next